Hello, welcome to Paint by Blunders. Today we are looking at one of the new Emperor's Children models, and what I wanted to achieve with this was that nice bright pink with a darker bluey green armour. I get it's almost like a Gene Stealer vibe that I've gone for, but I really like it and I think it looks great on the tabletop. Huge fan of the new aesthetic for these, that hair metal stuff from Slanesh I'm a huge fan of, and these were great models to paint. I do have a noise marine coming, that if you've got any paint schemes that you'd quite like to see, leave it in the comments below or find me on Instagram at Paint by Blunders and send me a DM about what you want to see. Also, if you're new to the channel or have not seen anything that I've done before, please do consider giving us a thumbs up, commenting, subscribing if you feel it's worth your time, because it helps the channel grow massively, and especially as I'm pretty new around these parts, it helps me so much. So thank you in advance if you choose to do that. Now, enough of me waffling, let's get to the video. Incubi Darkness up first. I'm going to quickly just put some of an airbrush, but you really don't have to, you could just brush it on. This is just more me testing the Gaalheri Airbrush that I was sent, just to see how it works over a few weeks, and happy to report it's fantastic. But anyway, this is the true start point. This is just Incubi Darkness over our base coat, which was black. And with these lovely Chaos Marines trim, I just want to get it done nice and early, and I'm using Vallejo Metal Colour Steel. This is an airbrush paint, it's got good coverage, it is a little bit thin, so it can be a bit tricky, but use any dark metallic you like. There's not a great deal of silver on these, and we're just being careful to essentially avoid our Incubi Darkness. But as always, I like doing the ugly method, so I put all my base coats down first before I start washing, just because I always make mistakes and lets me go back and forth. Next up, for the gold trim, I'm using Scale 75's Necro Gold. Now, I believe I was introduced to this through Cult of Paint. I saw that they used Necro Gold quite a lot, so I thought I'll pick one up. Fantastic gold, easily one of my favourites. Next up, we are going to do the black sort of undersuit exoskeleton-y type thing. Really quick, really easy. Vallejo black, it's the king of all blacks. Pick one up, you will not regret it. So now we start getting onto the jazzy stuff, which really makes the Emperor's Children sing. Screamer Pink we are using for our base. You will have to do a couple of coats of this, just because it isn't, doesn't have the best coverage, and we're going over something dark and we're trying to make it as bright and popping as we can. After that, we are coming back in with Emperor's Children. If you want to make the gradient a little bit easier for yourself, you could mix in a little bit of that Screamer Pink and then build it up that way. This, I would just say, do it nice and thin to try and keep it smooth, and do as many coats as you need to. I think I did 3. Once that is done, we're going to start picking up the tassels and the trim in Pro Acrylic's Bright Neutral Grey. I just wanted to show you, I essentially use this instead of Citadel's Grey Seer. So on this Marine, the right hand side, as in closest to my finger here, that is the Pro Acrylic, and the other side is the Grey Seer. It's just a little bit brighter and a little bit smoother. It's great as a base for contrast paints. Both have had like 2 thin coats. So yeah, just wanted to show you that quick. And we're just going to do the tassels and anything that we're going to put a bit of contrast over, which I think is just the tassels and a cable across the chest. One of the things you might notice that I forgot to mention is when I was doing the black, I also did the holster on his like belt pouch. Yeah, just thought I'd let you know about that mistake. Next up, another quick win. This is Dark Ivory from Pro Acrylic, and we're going to do the sort of flesh leather that they've got across their armour. If you don't have this, I would absolutely use Rakkar Flesh. My Rakkar Flesh has run out. That would have probably been my first choice, but I didn't have it, so I went Pro Acrylic Dark Ivory, which is another fantastic paint. So, a couple of contrasts going on now. Striking Scorpion Green. This is a awesome green, super vibrant, and it just looks great against these, the bright pink and the darker armour tones. I'm whacking this on straight out the bottle over the tassels and his eyes. Next up, I'll use the Luxian purple to do the cable across his chest. And with that done, we are looking a bit more hair metal, and I'm into it. Next up, Reikland Flesh Tone, or Reikland. And every time I use this, I think of Reek from Game of Thrones. Anyway, it's just me. Next up, Druchii Violet. We are going to use this just over the silver metallics. So with that done, I'm going to start using a couple of oil washes. Essentially, there's going to be one wash for everything, avoiding the pink, and then one for the pink. Now, I know some people are probably like, I'm out, I don't do oil washes. That's fine. I'll give you the acrylic sort of substitute. Essentially, for the armour, it would be Agrax Earthshade with a tiny bit of Druchii Violet, watered down, and then just something like a Doomfire Magenta, heavily watered down for the armour panels. And I would just do recess shading for those. So, for my oil wash 1, I'm using Van Dyke Brown. I'm putting it on the cardboard solely to draw out some of the oil, and that will just help with drying time once we've mixed it and applied it as a wash. If you've seen some of my other videos, this is not like a streak and grime where it's going to be really heavy. This is going to be much more diluted and much more like a classic wash. So to do that, we've got a little lid or a little pot, anything you've got, and I'm going to use some Winsor & Newton Artist Spirits. It's essentially just white spirits, but it doesn't smell as bad. You can use cheap DIY white spirit if you like, or expensive artist ones. It is one of those products where the more you buy, the cheaper it is. So as I always say, I think I picked up a litre of this for, I think, £7 or £8. If you want like a 70 millilitre bottle, it's like £4.50. So if you've got a shelf to keep this in, it's worth buying big. And as always, I use like a little pipette just to decant some of it onto whatever I'm mixing in. Get a old brush or like a little sculpting tool if you've got any, and just mix it around till you get that nice consistency of the wash. And I don't know if you can see what I was talking about, where it's got that slightly purple hue to the brown. But yeah, hopefully you can see it and I'm not going mad. And all I'm doing is just going round and just hitting the armour. And the same with oils, one of the reasons why I love them is it will flow to those recesses and those cracks, and it really does want to help you, and it's fantastic. Also, I do the greens as well, because where it's quite a subtle wash, it does help tie in those greens, so it isn't just a really clean, stark contrast against like some slightly dirtier, grimier armour. And I do go over the golds as well, and it just pulls really nicely. And one of the things as well I love with oils, you don't have to worry too much about it pooling, because you can come in with the spirits once it's pretty much dry and start wicking it away and pulling it away to reveal those base colours, which is the effect I absolutely love and the reason why I use them constantly. So next up, we're going to do the same style of oil wash with just magenta, and we're just going to go over the armour panels. Now, I don't know if you can see just how much oil came out with the pigment there. That's exactly why we use the cardboard, because that excess oil, we don't want that in our thinner and just messing around with our paint. You don't have to worry about it too much, but just in the interest of saving time and getting these guys on the table, just to cant it on a bit of cardboard. We've all got enough Amazon Prime packages lurking around to use a bit. With the oil washes done, there's just one more thing that I want to do before he's like battle ready, and that is the little demonic symbols in the sword and the gun. Essentially, I've just put a little bit of white ink on there just to sort of line them, and I'm coming back in with fluorescent magenta, essentially just to make them look interesting. I might regret it, but I'm rolling with it. So this is him. This is what I would call battle ready. Base coat's done with a wash, and I think it looks pretty good. If you had an army of these, I think it would look really vibrant on the table and really cool. Yeah, I like it. But as always, we're going to push it a little bit further by just adding a few little highlights just to try and make him pop a little bit more. So as always with my style of video and painting, I don't go too extreme with the highlights. So I normally always come in with the original base coat, so this is Incubi Darkness. And if you want to keep pushing the highlights, there's a good way to tie it in. I will always have that bright neutral grey on my palette, and you can just add a touch of that just to push it up and just keep adding it that way. I'm not a massive fan of having 4 different paint pots to edge highlight armour. I like to mix my colours as I go and just use that same smaller palette and expand on it by mixing them together. Next up, we're going to use Citadel Stormhost Silver, but you can use any bright silver. Just again, edge highlighting some of these silver metallics. You can even use it on the edges of some of the gold. If you are feeling particularly fruity, I used a dark grey just to edge highlight the belly of the undersuit. But it's such a small detail that you could avoid this if you wanted to, just to avoid any mistakes, etc. Next, I'm coming back in with the Pro Acrylic Dark Ivory for the flesh, and I'm literally just doing the edges and any of the raised folds of the leather just to give it some interest. And last up, all I'm doing is making like a slightly lighter version of the Emperor's Children by adding a little bit of that grey and just doing a few tiny edge highlights. And I'm also making a very watery, almost glaze out of just the Emperor's Children to go back over the top of where I did the oil washes, over the shoulder pad, etc. So I just wanted to quickly show you the base. This is what I'm going with because I was essentially just testing a few things. I don't normally put how I do the bases just because it's subject to your own army, but just so you know, I did AK's concrete texture paint. I put a bright pink pigment powder over it, then put a wash of rattling grime, and then just came back over it with the same pigment powder and a tiny bit of Doomfire Magenta watered down to just add some darker spots, and that's it. So if you made it through to the end of this video, thank you very much. Here he is all done. Yeah, thanks again for checking this out. It means a lot, it really does. And if you're new here and liking what you're seeing, please do consider subscribing, liking, sharing. All of that really helps the channel, and it just lets me know what you like to keep going. And hopefully I will see you on the next one.